let's welcome our chairman, Mr. Edward Lee. Edward?
Yes, Marvin, thank you. Thank you.
Hi,
Good
hi.
afternoon, Chairman.
How are you, sir?
Thank you, thank you.
And then let me start by asking you now, Mr. Chairman, you've been in the market for more than what? 48 years? My God.
Yes, yes.
You have seen a lot of bull markets and bear markets. Can you tell us your views about this market now? What's happening? Where are we now in the cycle, and what should investors do, Mr. Chairman?
Right, I don't know if I forwarded you a slide this morning.
Can you guys, ayun, can you guys bring it up? All right.
Okay, so we have been using this slide for more than 10 years already. No? It's what we call the market cycle clock. Where are we today? Nasaan ba tayo ngayon? No? So after the pandemic that happened last year, which caught a lot of people by surprise, we qualified that as what we call a strong bear, which is a quadrant 4 for us. No, so after the huge capitulation, now we are going to the right side, which is the quadrant 1, which is what we call bearish sentiment. No, bearish sentiment. But we are after what more than a year of consolidation. We are on our way really for a recovery, so improving and leading fundamentals. Because you can see that some of the issues that we are looking at today has already been pre-pandemic now in terms of the earnings. No? The only one that's lagging, which April was showing a while ago, is really the properties, the banks, basically because there's no loan growth. No? So we have some laggards, but a lot of the issues are already on the way to reversing. But if you look at what we call the bearish sentiment that we're seeing, sentiment is still bearish. So what strategy do we use? We use what we call a buy low, sell high strategy. No? So last month when the market rallies, you should be looking to scale out. And now that the market has come back down, you should look to scale in. No? So this is what we call the buy low, sell high strategy. And this buy low, sell high strategy works for companies that what we call mature companies, or mature growth or mature companies. No? So the big caps, the big conglomerates, it should be the same way. Buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high. But if you look at some of the mid caps, like the Century Tuna, the Wilcon, these are what we call high growth companies that are still double digit, 20, 30, 40% in terms of earnings, in terms of revenues. So you can do what we call the buy and hold values plus growth. So they had to be able to pre-qualify the issues. Very important. No? So I really believe that we are on our way to recovery. No? So it's today, with what we call, it's, what's happening today is that we're seeing the policy towards people are still, well, at least our government is still very, very much scared about what's happening with the new variant and all these things. But what April showed you a while ago is already the UK, the US, basically they're reopening already. They just have to change the rules because the numbers went back up, even though a lot of them are fully vaccinated. 50% that are getting infected today, of the total, let's say UK is about 30,000 cases a day. 50% of that is unvaccinated. So they have to get themselves vaccinated. The other 50% that are vaccinated already, even Israel, you can see they're vaccinated, but they also get hit. The only thing is it's mild. That's why if you look at the number of death cases, it has not gone up. It has not gone up. So our let's say policy, it's called a policy. These are policies that are being being put out by our government. So it's really, in fact, I was really so disappointed when they announced another ECQ for Metro Manila, because I really believe that we are on. I know they can see the numbers, they see the variant, they see that all these things. But you have to remember, Marvin, you have to remember, and the audience has to understand the number of cases, because most of the what we call the A1, the most the people like us that are 65 and above, right? We're all vaccinated already, right?
Okay.
So the number of people going to the emergency room really is very, very minimal. Because I was in Cardinal Santos yesterday. I was asking the doctors, O, kumusta mga cases dyan because of this variant, new variant? Sabi niya, Mr. Lee, walang tao sa emergency room, at least sa Cardinal, from yesterday's number. Walang tao daw, walang sa emergency room ng COVID, wala. Emergency room ng hindi COVID, marami. Pero sa COVID, wala. What does it mean? It means that the people that are going to be affected are the young people who are not vaccinated. So these cases might go up, but it is because, what's happening to the provinces, we're seeing some numbers that are showing, people are, it's like Indonesia, it's like India, wherein yung mga hospital nila, ang daming outside the hospital, there are so many beds. These are the old people that are not vaccinated in the province. That means they have to roll out the vaccinated, at least for those vulnerable, what do you call there's a word for that. Yung people like us, yung mga matatanda, kaya i-vaccinate mo na lang yan. No? So, I'm really, in a way, disappointed that the government basically, well, in a sense, government is trying to preempt the rise of this Delta variant. But they really have to try to understand what's happening outside. Diba? The economy cannot really afford to have another 2 weeks of lockdown. And this is not going to stop, because you have to remember, we have still a young population of 18 years old and below. Once it opens, they lockdown na naman tayo. Parang, it's called really coexist yan. You need to coexist with this, what they call this virus already. No, so I'm surprised that I thought yesterday, lusot na tayo. Ngayon, lockdown na naman. Di ba? Now, going to the US, we've seen strong bull, right, last year. And this year in the US, the market valuations are expensive. Even though it's going to new highs, but you can see the policy that are coming out already in the US is for it to normalize the interest rates. So we believe that the US is in what we call bullish sentiment. We're in quadrant 3 already. No? Whether it's going to go down or not, I don't know. But we believe that it's a buy low, sell high strategy. No? So for those people who are shorting the market, I mean, you're smart. You think that the market is expensive. You want to short it. They have to be very careful. Because a policy-driven crash is because they believe that the U.S. economy is strong already. When the U.S. economy is strong, that means the Fed has to come in and start normalizing it, diba? So that inflation would not go up and all these things. And what would happen is that there might be a flash crash, but flash crash lang yan. Kasi hindi man may problema. There's no problem. Diba? The only time when markets goes down is because there is what we call a credit crisis. Wala naman tayong credit crisis. Earnings are still growing, diba? Recovering. So for at least for the audience, from a global perspective, we believe that the US market, yes, it is very expensive, and anytime it can have a flash crash. But any flash crash because of policy interest rates going up is positive. It's not negative. No, because we're coming from a very low Fed funds, which is 0.25 for the last 2-3 years. Right? Yeah, so anytime that they're increasing interest rate, that means they're ready. The economy is doing well. They just need to what? Need to normalize it lang, so that when the recession really comes, right? Then the interest rates can go down.
Yeah, but for the local market, Mr. Chairman, for the local market, in the top 10 stocks, we already have 2 likes. I mean, five stocks that April and Juanis likes. No, so you said that buy low, sell high. Scale in, scale out. What does that exactly mean? Now, if you buy this Ayala Land, Jollibee, Monde, Video, how are our audience gonna do it? Like, paano ba yung buy low, sell high? Paano ba yung scale in, scale out na?
It's only for those companies that are mature companies, di ba? Right? For example, fair value of Ali is, let's say, it's 40. It's now at 30. So you should scale in already, di ba? Right? Because numbers are still bad, but eventually we will recover from, once this vaccination increases, automatically the government will reopen the economy already. Pag nag-reopen yan, the numbers should be better, right? You have to remember, Marvin, yes, we are coming from a very low base, especially on the banks and on the properties, diba? But look at the power sector. AP, all these numbers, Semirara, all numbers are double digit. It's increasing double digit already, di ba? So it's just a sentiment wherein there's a no interest. And you have to also remember, this emerging market that dropped for the last couple of days was instigated by the policy, Chinese policy over the big tech. Di ba? Kaya binentahan yan eh. And you remember, emerging market, 40% is China eh. Di ba? So in other words, if they're selling China, automatically, the Philippines is included in the liquidation eh. Tama mo? So these are things which are, for me, an opportunity. These are always opportunity. Right? Kasi there's nothing wrong with the business eh. Di ba? Wala namang problema eh. But once we reopen, from a low base, we're going to increase. So in other words, basta kailangan, you have to buy mura lang. Kailangan mura lang. Scale in lang. Mura lang, mura. And then, pag umakyat, scale out, scale out. Kasi we're still trying to what? Still trying to get out of quadrant 1. No?
Okay.
Economy reopens, automatically we're going to the beginning of the bull market yan. So quadrant 2 na yan. It will be quadrant 2 already. No? So we're still in quadrant 1. We're still in quadrant 1. Buy low, sell high strategy talaga.
So, opportunity pa rin. Good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chairman. We have a lot of questions from the audience, but we have over 200. I think we should jump on that right away. Guys, can you bring out this? We try to group this 250 questions, and I'm going to ask April, Juanis, and Mr. Chairman to answer this. But let me try to handle this so that we can be efficient with the time. On the first group, we have the sector outlook. I think this is a question by Geraldo. What stocks or industry sector would perform better in the second half of 2021, and which one to avoid? These are also being asked by other people that we try to put together as well. Maybe I can ask April, what are the industry sectors that could perform the second half, and which one to avoid? April?
Yeah, that's kind of a tough question, no? Kasi ano naman eh, I actually have a list of cyclical stocks and defensive stocks. Now, given right now that we're entering into another ECQ, there is a chance that the defensive stocks might perform better, like your mga telcos and mga REITs, mga pure gold, ganyan. Pero I cannot totally ignore the defensives because as I've said, the cyclicals, because as I've said, I believe that there is a chance that in the fourth quarter, we will be in a more normal state, will be a normal Christmas for us. And that said, of course, the defensive stocks will be the ones to go up. So maybe a good mix of mga cyclicals and defensives.
Ano ba yan? Is that ano may cyclical sa defensive?
Okay, so defensive, yung mga last year, di ba, while the market was going down, you had the telcos, then you had CNPF, the pure gold, di ba? Yun, di ba, they remained up there. Okay. Kasi they could still operate, and then people were still patronizing their products, no? The earnings were still stable, so those stocks remained quite strong. Yun. So the cyclicals, of course, would be your mga banks. Yeah, banks, properties, maybe retailers. The retailers na like yung mga SSI, yung mga ganon.
Mga consumer retailers.
Consumer retailer na mas discretionary. Okay, discretionary consumer companies. So mas ganon.
And I think it was already in your slides also, no? That's sectors, right, April? And we will be sending these slides to the audience so you can look at it again, because there are a lot of people who ask this. She Rosemary, Abed, Alexander, Clark, and all. You will just take a look at the ones that we sent, and I think that will answer your question. Let's have the second group, government policy. What are the top things that the government should do or prioritize in order to avoid a credit rating downgrade? Asked by Ronaldo. You're already there, April. Why don't you?
Okay, yeah. A while ago, I kind of answered it a little bit. I said that the most important thing to do, again, is to focus on vaccination, and I think addressing the COVID-19 problem. So still, testing and tracing, diba? Controlling the cases. So I think that's the most important thing, so that they don't have to keep on closing the economy, because that really is what is hurting economic conditions. Now, on the government side, I think kailangan very judicious spending, no, when they set the budget. They have to focus on items that have a high multiplier effect, such as infrastructure, para efficient yung spending. And I think before President Duterte steps down, they should pass the last two packages of the tax reform program, which are the first one involves the uniform taxation of mga interest income and cash dividends at 15%. I
The
forgot
fees,
what
they
you
call
call
it. Ah, no, no, no. Yeah.
Well, basta yun. And then the second one, which is, I'm not happy with it, but I think it's for the good of the economy, is the valuation of properties. Of course, 'di ba? Alam naman
Mukhang tatamaan
natin.
ka.
Lahat naman tayo tatamaan eh. But if you think about it, that's good for the government, because the prices of properties have gone up so much, but the taxes that they collect on that remains very low.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be good for them. They will be able to generate more taxes from there, and that should address the deficit problems and debt to GDP problems.
Okay, thank you very much. So hopefully we can also avoid the credit rating downgrade.
Yes.
Because of that.
Well, that's
right.
even worse.
Okay, next, please. Next grouping is the investment strategy. This is asked by Christine. Christian, what is the best investing strategy to use over the next 6 months given the fluid situation? How much percent should we be invested? I think, Edward, you gave a little bit of this. I think here they're asking the percent. Baka may ideas ka dyan. Well, ano bang allocation na maganda for this kind of a market?
I really believe the traditional 25, 25, 25, 25 is always in play. So basically, you need to have some stocks. Basically, should be 25%. No, the maximum, no, for any portfolio. No, so it really depends on his cash flow, on the person's cash flow. Kung malakas ang cash flow mo, bata ka pa, you can be 80% invested in the stock market, right? But if you are our age, we have to be more conservative. So 20%, 25% should be invested in the market, and then maybe 25% in real estate investment trust, because you can have your regular dividends that's coming out. So and then of course you have the emergency, then you have your other bonds or diba? So yeah, so kailangan may product mix ka. But if you're old, depending on your age, I think it's your age minus the diba? Remember yung I think there's
100 minus
100 minus your age.
Yes, 100 minus. Yun, ganun lang talaga yan. No? But if you're younger, if you have cash flow, my God, you should be at least 80% invested in the market. Kailangan you have to be aggressive. Bata ka pa eh. Diba?
Yeah. And equity still present and give you the best return among all asset classes. But is the most risky rin, Edward?
That's the reason why you have to look at your age. Diba? It is asset. But if you are buying blue chip companies, mature companies that are paying regular dividends and can still grow, and which right now there are a lot of companies right now that are selling at a huge discount, no? Then I think you should be aggressive, especially if you're younger. You should be more aggressive.
Yeah.
And then get the regular dividend lang yan. Dividend, so that you can reinvest it. So let them work for you. Let money work for you. That's how it is naman. In the equity, in the business of investment. That's how it is lang.
All right. Thank you. Maybe I can ask Juanis. Juanis, there's a question here about whether it's a growth or I think I'd like to match that with your strong or weak stocks. How would you strategize that? Like what percent are you going to put in your growth or stronger stocks and the weak stocks? How will you allocate that in terms of
Well, my strategies are mainly trend following. So normally it's the growth companies that tend to move faster than value types, unless you're coming from an extremely oversold condition and all all stocks rally at the same time with a V formation. But generally, it's growth stocks that tend to move faster and they show better resilience on the way down. So I would concentrate on the growth, and I would normally put much more there than the other side.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I hope we answered your question, Ronald and Elizabeth and Erwin. Thank you. Let's have the other. Oh, elections 2022 next year na. How will the upcoming elections affect the recovery of the market? Anyone wants to answer this? Elections. Lapit na. Edward.
As long as it's not a martial law, then treat it as an ordinary, there's no political risk. There's no political risk. Whoever wins is going to be the same, right? So the policies lang yan. But, we are a democratic country, so we believe that, we believe in partisan politics. And for the last couple of years, when I started trading the market, investing in the market, what was in the during martial law pa yan 1973, 72, 73 right?
Wala pang, baka hindi pa buhay yung mga participants.
No interest yan, no interest. But we are really always excited. We're excited because we believe that the policy of the Philippine Stock Exchange is more important, no? Wherein now they will be more aggressively allowing companies to get listed. As more companies get listed, more stakeholders, the capital market will definitely grow by itself. Hindi na kailangan, basta more products coming out lang, automatically our capital market will grow. Diba?
Yeah. And mga REITs, may REITs, Monday, mga ganyan listings.
Even more small and medium enterprise. I think the Philippine Stock Exchange came up with a new policy already. Once it's going out, more education. I always believe that it's education and rather than protecting. We've been on protecting the market since the last 30, 40 years. The Philippines, I started in 1986 till today, 250, 270 companies listed pa rin. Diba? I don't understand it. Right? So we should really be more of educating so that most of our investors, most of our customers would understand what are risky assets. They should be participating, not participating, and over time they will learn how to manage it properly, diba? Yeah. Because I believe that once we get more companies listed, automatically there will be more participants in the capital market. But on its own, we don't have to do anything. On its own.
Okay, good. April, do you remember what happens during election years? How the markets move?
Yeah.
Does it affect?
Usually, yeah, it benefits media companies and consumer companies. I have a slide there that you can see. So, yan, we asked the companies. So, yan, GMA7, of course, political ad revenues. But the interesting thing is, usually before the election, meron ng mga poll ads yan, di ba? Yung mga advocacies.
Pero YouTube na tayo ngayon eh. YouTube na eh.
Oo nga. But you have to remember, not everybody goes to YouTube. So, if you want to target the CD market, you're still on TV. You still have a little bit of spending there. But so far, this time around, mahina. Okay. So for the consumers, these were the ones that said na meron, no? Because we can ask all of them na lang. Are you benefiting? So, ayan. You have, say, Pure Gold saying election years are good.
Padala natin to.
Yan, share na lang natin sa mga tao.
Sige. Let's go to the other group. Medyo mahaba na. Anyway, ito maganda. Delta variant is here. What are your thoughts on the rising cases of COVID-19? What is your advice? Nasagot mo na to April, no, kanina?
Yes. Extensively. Pati si
ito na lang. Yung index, tinanong ni Alan. Index 21 index closing.
Okay. So, a while ago, I asked my analyst to compute for this. And he said, believe it or not, our target is 8,100. That's why I said our market is so cheap, no? But that's based on a bottom-up approach. Okay, just to put things into context, okay. We started the year at 8.3 because of, say, first quarter earnings, a little bit of COVID here and there, the lockdowns, we cut it to 8.1. So, assume natin na, sige, may lockdown na naman, etc. So, sige, bawasan pa natin ng 200, 7.9. So, the point is, may upside pa rin. The market, the stocks are really so cheap. So that's why I say that the negatives are priced in.
Okay, good. Baka we can skip the others, nasagot na yata iba eh. Can you just flip through that? Economic recovery, driving forces, syempre, ano na to, no? Di ba? Opening, Edgardo. Next, global market. Edward answered the global markets. Pero ito, is the US market bull run nearing the finish line? How will this impact PSEi? Asked by Elmer. Or will that affect the PSEi? Pakatapos na yung bull market ng US, Edward?
We're in what we call quadrant 3, which is a weak bull. No? But you have to remember, like I said kanina, the only reason why you will have a flash, it could be a flash crash, yung mabilis lang. Because this is what we call the interest rate policy, US interest rate policy. Diba? You need that flash crash to make it healthy. It's a healthy correction. Because there's no crisis. If there's a credit crisis, maybe, or political, diba? Then you can see drop of 20, 30, 40%. But, an interest rate flash crash, maybe 5, 10, 15% maximum, right? Will it affect the Philippines? Maybe. It will. Maybe it will. But it's going to be very quick also kasi it doesn't really affect the Philippines kasi the Philippines is so cheap already. Another flash crash. Parang
laglag na tayo eh. Diba?
Diba? Pag gusto mo din. Kawawa sa Pilipinas. Diba? Hindi tayo nag-rally. Pag binibentahan sila, tatamaan din tayo. But I really think if ever there is let me share with you this. This is a very good experience that I had. No? In 1986 or 87, there was a flash crash in the US.
Black
diba?
Monday. Black Monday.
Yes. Yeah, diba? Within 2 days, 25%. Diba? The Philippines do not go down anymore. You know why? Kasi 1 month ago, we had a coup d'etat. Binenta na rin ng Philippines. Nag-coup-d'etat yung Pilipinas muna. Last crash ng Black Monday, wala na. Nabababa mo. Binentahan na yung market eh. So it's pricing already. So I really believe, I'm in the camp of being very bullish in a way, that because we are seeing opportunities based on it's based on policy. This COVID policy is giving us opportunity. Marvin, ikot na ito. I mean, for 1 year, you can make a lot of money. Just buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high lang yan. So that's why it's very important that our investors, our customers, understand how this market works talaga. No, you're buying good companies at a discount. Pag umakyat, kailangan nagbebenta kasi matagal pa itong wherein we will be like an endemic. It's like going to be like a flu. It will take a while because you have to remember 18 years old and below are not yet vaccinated. When we open and they go to school, they will bring home the virus. Diba? The nice thing is the highly vulnerable ones like us were vaccinated already. Diba? So the cases might go up, pero the number of deaths hopefully will be less. Diba? So I really believe that flash crash lang yan. It's not an earnings problem in the US. It's just overbought lang. Valuations are just expensive. So you might have those flash crash lang, 5-10% in 1 day. Akala mo tuloy, wala, rally naman yan. Diba? Every time the Fed funds increase the interest rates, the market will what? Go up. Kasi it will go down first, and then pag nag-impose, rally na yan eh. So you have to understand we are in what we call quadrant 3. It's a weak bull, right? So it's a buy low, sell high strategy din. Buy low, sell high strategy in the US also. It will affect us maybe a little bit, pero I don't think so. Kasi sobrang mura na yung Pilipinas eh. Kung mahal tayo, we'll be affected.
So Edward, if I have money today and I want to buy stocks, what would you say? I buy now? Bili na ba tayo ngayon? Pwede na? Laban na?
Philippines?
Yes, Philippines.
1 week na ako bullish.
Even today's market, medyo
kaming dalawa na lang ni April ang fundamentalist dito. Sobrang mura talaga ang Pilipinas. I really look at it. It's really cheap talaga.
So you
It's really very cheap.
see
Murang-mura
the
yan.
opportunity now. You see the more opportunity now rather than the risk.
Yes. You have to scale in already. Kailan pa? Anyway, some issues are paying you 4-5% cash dividend. Ano pang gusto mo? Right?
Okay.
It's just that the sentiment, tinatakot lang tayo ng mga ito. I don't even understand why. In fact, this morning I was calling one of our one of the HMO, and I was telling them, you guys better put your act together, right? Di ba? Kasi most of the doctors are basically what we call the germ theory pa yan eh, di ba? They don't tell you to eat high doses of vitamins to prevent you from getting hit, right? Oh, so these are the challenges that we have today. The challenges that we have today. Diba? So the traditional, we just you get sick first, then I'll give you the medicine. They don't tell you, you improve your immune system. Diba? Right? That's really the challenge, right? Like me, for example, I got hit, right? But because I was taking high doses of vitamins, so it's like a slight flu lang. In fact, I didn't even have any symptoms except for my fever. Diba? So we have to believe, it's a coexist. We have to coexist with this virus.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to tell the government. Tama na ito. So that's why maybe I'm foolish. I'm just too bullish talaga. And I see this kind of policy that the government is printing out and scaring people and having this kind of setup is an opportunity for us to deploy. I really believe.
Good. There you have it, guys. I'll open the floor to the questions, live questions, at this point. Kasi we've tackled a lot of this na. Ito, we have one. What factor should I consider in selecting among REITs? Ito, REIT companies, aside from dividend yield? Can you comment on Phil REIT, DDMPR, and A REIT? Oh, April.
Okay. So, nako, ilang beses ko nang sinagot yan. Ilang beses ko nang sinulat yan sa aking column at sa aking show.
Okay.
Yeah, so of course, it's the quality of the assets that are inside. So, when we talk about offices, we prefer PESA. Kailangan PESA at packet because our BPO tenants want PESA accredited buildings and nothing else. Okay, so good quality assets. And of course, in the future, yung mga growth sectors, assets that belong to growth sector. So maybe if there's an industrial REIT, that's something that is interesting and worth looking at. Yun, ano pa ba? And of course, the parent company or the REIT sponsor. Who is the major owner of the REIT? And that major owner should also have a good portfolio of assets that they can still inject into the REIT. So of course, that's one of the reasons why a REIT is very successful because of course, since it IPO'd, marami nang in-inject si Ayala Land. So the dividend per share has gone up quite a lot. So Philinvest, marami pa raw silang mga office buildings that they can inject.
So okay ang Phil REIT. DDMPR and A REIT. DDMPR and A REIT.
DDMPR, well, the problem is, of course, the building is not PESA accredited. Grade A, but not PESA. And then single location. So, in terms of asset injections, well, you have to remember Double Dragon is the sponsor, but most of the assets are, what do you call that? Diba parang city malls? So, that's not exactly a sector that you want right now. So baka in the future, because they use the proceeds to build the industrial properties. But remember, the REITs have a 3-year, you will need to have 3 years of track record before you can inject. Diba? So medyo matatagal lang pa yan. And we don't know what the direction is, whether Double Dragon will be injecting those industrial properties into the DDMP REIT. Kasi ang sinabi nilang i-inject nila is actually another office building in DDMPR and a hotel in the area. They did not mention any plans to inject the industrials because I think they kind of talked about listing another pure play on industrials, diba? They did a JV with Jollibee. So baka yun ang gawin nila rather than inject it into the DDMPR vehicle.
Sige. Thank you, April. Let's get some other questions from the audience. Miss April ulit. The telco stocks have not done quite well this year. What do you think are investors worried about? And Sir Juanis, your view on the technicals from Peter.
Yeah, I think sa telcos, it probably is, first of all, di ba, initially this year, you noticed the outperformance of the cyclical companies. Kasi sa globally, di ba, Zach also mentioned how there was a shift to value. No? So parang ang naging proxy natin sa growth is because we don't have naman mga tech stocks. So the closest companies we have to tech is the telco. So nag-shift. And then secondly, you had Converge. So I think probably what happened is investors have this basket for telcos instead of, say, getting the allocation to buy Converge from fresh cash or from the other sectors. Ginawa lang, binawas-bawasan na lang nila yung PLDT and Globe nila, and then they use that to buy shares of Converge. So I think those are the two things, but fundamentally, I don't see any problems with the telcos. Earnings are very strong.
Yeah.
Dividend yields are very high for PLDT. It's above 6%, in fact. Globe is 5%, and of course Globe has GCash. So
we need internet.
Yeah. Even with the lockdown, we actually need more internet.
Okay, let's look at the technicals. Juanis, did you try to look at the technicals of the?
Well, I'm aware of them. If you were to list them all out in terms of technical strength, Converge is the first, Globe is the second, and PLDT is the last. PLDT just broke down from a major pattern just recently, and that's the reason why it's been faltering. Maybe Globe is semi-strong, really, because April pointed out they do have GCash to be able to support a potential business there one day. And although it did also come down today, but Converge seems to be the strongest of the lot, and because it's, I guess, the growth prospects is still very much there, whereas the other one, like Edward would say, would be mature, value-oriented companies already, which you probably get better dividends of. So you're buying that really in a longer term. I do agree with what April said. I think there are funds out there that are splitting their portfolio ratings now, and since Converge came in as a new growth, an allocation to the telco is being split into 3 rather than just 2.
Yeah, so growth for Converge, dividends for the 2. Good.
Right.
Maybe let's get a couple of more questions na lang from the audience, please. I think we're Sir Juanis, it's very rare you recommend bargain hunting in a bearish market. What makes this situation unique or different from John?
First of all, I think our gentleman laid down the foundation of how you should think. He said it's bearish sentiment, not necessarily a bear market. And what that means is you're coming from a bear market, you will not feel overjoyed about an economic situation. We still have the pandemic to be able to worry about, and it's not done, but we are on our way to recovery. So don't expect the stock market to look very bullish. Okay, and if you have that context in mind, you have to understand, like you pointed out, it's a buy low, sell high. So I know it feels bearish because the market pulled back just recently, but the question is, are we going to be making new lows into the index? I don't think so. And I think you're just going to be testing some higher lows for the stronger ones. The weaker ones, or that's why I said stay away from those first. Those are the ones that I would rather be defensive on. So I want to be selective in that sense. So I will recommend bargain hunting only for those that are making similar or higher level lows. And that's the position I would take.
Good. Thank you very much. Maybe one last question. Do we have? Do you think we still need foreign investor participant to create rally and return to pre-COVID levels in the Philippine equities? From JR. Edward, you want to take this last question? Do you think we need foreigners?
Not in the beginning.
I really believe that we need to build our capital market. The number of investors, we need to be out there continuously educating. And hopefully we are able to increase the number of investors in the Philippines. Like I said, the market is still 1.5% out of 100 million. We still have less than 1.5 million investors. No, I believe that if we are able to increase it to about 10, 12%, then you don't need all these foreign investors. Then we don't need it. No? So we need to create a locally vibrant economy so that the market can basically sustain by itself, just the local participants. No, because if you have to depend on the foreigners, you have to remember the world is in their fingertip. China now is 40%, right? If we don't put our act together, don't we increase the number of listed companies in the Philippines? I think we'll still be from 0.4, will become 0.2, 0.3, which is good also because when they come in, they will be buying expensive from us. No? So very important. Yeah, we need to take care of ourselves. I mean, I believe that we Filipinos can, and that's the reason why we're here. We're trying to educate as many Filipinos as possible. And as more companies get listed, one day, we don't need the foreigners.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Thank you. Thank you for this panel. No, before I close, I'd like to thank Chairman Edward, April, and Juanis for your thoughts. Thank you very much. And let me try to summarize what we've been through this afternoon. No? We heard today that the market looks like that it is in a process of digesting new events, whether global scene or even in the local, more particularly the Delta variant and how this will affect the economy and the market. While growth may slow down in the developed world, they're a bit slowing down, the view is it is still strong, still remains strong and conducive. For the local scene naman, we have been consistent. No, I mean, COL has been consistent this year that in taking the view that the market is generally on its way to recovery. It may be choppy, but it looks like a lot of the negatives, as April said, may have already been priced in. And recovery may take a bit longer. The charts of one is saying that it may take a bit longer, but you know, people, as the chairman said, people are getting used to how things work. The corporates know how things work. They're not surprised anymore with this, even with lockdowns. We are not surprised anymore that we are unprepared like last year. There will be bumps along the way, but the people are generally seem to be in better footing this time around. And it looks like we can reach herd immunity by Christmas with the way we are being vaccinated now. So how do we invest in this uneven recovery? Take the cue from our speakers today, from the panels. Watch it again. We will be sending you the video and then you can look at it again, get some insights. Then look at your portfolios and see if it still makes sense in this kind of a market. And if the purpose for which you decided to invest in the first place is still consistent. Trading is for trading and investing is for investing. Look at the opportunities when they present themselves that are already there, particularly those that will remain resilient and will grow despite the challenges. And then rebalance your portfolio, make some adjustments if needed, and make sure that it is done. It was done and allocated to match the investment objectives that you originally set. So the recovery may be uneven. It may even take a little bit longer, but investing opportunities abound. Bili na tayo, sabi ni Chairman. Ito na, ano pa ba hinihintay nyo? So, okay, we'll be sending you a copy of the videos and the slides of the speakers to your registered emails. So watch out for that. So ladies and gentlemen, we hope that this afternoon has been helpful. Good luck to all of you and have a good weekend.